dear friends, so this is the shaman and his wife. Let's see what are they up to at night. And why, when monks, nuns, yogis, when they reach the long cherished for many years fruit of their practice, ecstatic experiences, trance, transcendental travel, why their experience is not just similar, but it is exactly what couples achieve at the end at night, just the only difference being that the couples are in that state for a couple of seconds during the peak moments of the play, while the ascetic mystics can be in that peak state for hours and when they reach advanced stages even permanently. Unlike the couples who return to fighting and bad mood, often even in the morning, if not in 10 minutes, the practices which will be described in this video are not meant to inspire you to start with such things, to become spiritual, whatever that means, but instead these are practices for the people who already in some form or another have intimate things as part of their life. So for them this ancient wisdom will help to evolve faster. Even those who achieve such high states following the religious path, even they may get those on bodily level very same contractions and all the other sensations which the couples achieve, even though in some cases the religious practitioner might be of the opinion that what the couples are doing is reproachable and very, very ungodly. So this will be a video of very practical techniques with which everybody without an exception can master this energy, the ecstatic energy. In the East they call it Kundalini. In the West people don't even have a word for this bridge, connection, cable so to say, which plugs in the soul into the body. So mastering this ecstatic energy of Kundalini using the ancient Tantric methods is actually very similar even for the celibates, those who have decided not to go on the way of intimacy. They end up doing the same thing, which is making the seeds flow upwards instead of downwards. So the male body produces seeds constantly in abundance. If they remain trapped inside, eventually there is a path through the bladder. They actually go upwards in the male body. Since they are nothing else but a concentrated divine creative energy, the magical thing of Kundalini, when they go upwards, man's intelligence increases and their mystic powers begin to awaken. To experience tangible results, they have to be completely trapped for months or years. And how many months or years will depend on the overall percentage of sattva of the body of the practitioner. Now, those whose cup of tea is not renunciation and they want to have fun and still have Kundalini rising, they use the fun tantric method of exciting as much as possible the energy with intimate play, but never releasing the seeds. When you play with your partner, this intense heat generated, that is just a sign that more Kundalini is being drawn, because God has already prepared unlimited supply for us. The only thing we need is to pump it in with our bodies. So the fun practitioners, they pump, the more the better, and then there is more to trap inside, and it will push stronger to go upwards. So there are two types of techniques which will prevent the seeds from going out and gradually teach them to go upwards through the bladder. Initially they will go upwards only during the time of practice, but eventually it becomes a habit of the body, and these seeds, they don't patiently wait in there for somebody to shoot them out, as they most likely do currently, but instead they go upwards all the time automatically. And that is the state of the accomplished yogis. That's why they can levitate, fly, teleport themselves, disappear from the sight of ordinary people. And most importantly, they're in samadhi all the time. I listed first the mystic powers that could be acquired, just to give a hint of how powerful Kundalini is, because that is the original creative energy of God. And of course, those who target the higher states of consciousness, they cannot rely only on a couple of tantric practices. They should be cultivating sattva along the way with other methods, if not meditation, at least by cultivating wisdom, which is somewhat different than the modern meaning of the word education. The techniques, which will be outlined later, they will only help in terms of drawing more creative energy and then pushing it upwards through the body. Now, while going upwards, the energy encounters blockages, then the progress will become hopelessly slow. The reason for blockages are usually tamasic beliefs, while if one is already very, very sattvic, these practices can give results even within weeks. I think that is the fastest possible time frame for such pure people. Actually, the initial spark which started this discussion on the channel was when I mentioned that too many people are interested in sex without love. They either can feel very inferior types of love or can't feel it altogether, but still they are interested in bad activities. And actually, they can use this inclination if they go the tantric way. As their intelligence grows, as they become more sattvic, using these bodily techniques, eventually they will be able to even fall in love. Now let's say the different categories of bodily techniques. The first one is to play as much as you wish with your partner, the more the better. Just never reach the peak point. Keep the seeds inside. That's all. In the beginning, one could be in bad mood because, the best part is missing, especially for men, that will be a problem. But as all sattvic techniques and approaches, it is bitter only in the beginning. Most definitely, as you start feeling the results, everybody says it's very much worth it. So the discomfort of missing out the peak is very transitory, and it is really only for beginners. Now, sometimes it could be difficult to just decide from today on, no peak, just play. Easier said than done. For some people, it's like the prospects of stopping a train with full speed. Well, that's difficult or impossible on short notice. Then the sneaky seeds are out before you know it. There is cure for that as well. Now, there is a handy trick here, and you can follow the link in the description. It involves hardware, which I don't happen to have, so I decided it's better to learn that from somebody who actually has got it. Now, in the examples I was giving so far, it sounded as if the practitioner is always a man, but actually the female body functions in a very, very similar way, although the primitive modern science has got only hints for now. With every new so-called discovery, they're getting just closer and closer to what has been written down in the Vedic texts long time ago, and not just about these things, but about all things. Now, normally the fun tantra is practiced in couples. That works best because that's the way God designed things for tapping to the ecstatic energy of the universe. And what are the roles of men and women? In practical terms, it works like this, that in the later stages, they will be simply equals, like yin and yang. As they say, plug and play. Already the techniques are mastered, no discipline is required. Everything happens automatically and it is just a pure flow of bliss. But in the initial stage, when both are beginners, it's a bit different because in that situation, it more depends on the man. They are more like active, and if they don't pay attention, the show may be over, although it was not intended to be that way. So at that time, the women are more passive, and being wiser, their main role is to remind them what they have actually decided to do together. Otherwise, men tend to forget. Now, in the religious hymns, you will very often hear rejoice, rejoice. It's instead of saying hi, hello, it is believed that Christ, when he was here, when he would enter a space, this would be the way he greeted people. So important was for him to remind us that life is all about enjoying. Now the mass insanity has reached such stage that very few people actually live in harmonious couples. And in this crazy situation, actually, the bodies still function in a more godly manner than the minds of the people. And that's why they're still attracted to the rejoice. And what to do in this predicament? Many people go for the do-it-yourself method. Luckily, that is also there in the ancient Tantric texts. However, especially in the current moment, this has to be very well understood because do-it-yourself can be the path to heaven and hell. As an analogy, and in the most direct sense as well, very soon. First, how can the DIY methods bring you to heaven? If they are done exactly as described in the old texts, without any modern additions to the scenery. And the old methods are pretty straightforward. Gentle, beautiful play, the way you like it, excite the energy as much as you want. Just don't explode. Of course, no matter how sincere is one, in the beginning there will be failures, but later on it will be properly aligned as the actual being, the soul, being the master of the energies and not getting carried away by them. And now a very important warning on how the do-it-yourself practices can be the elevator to hell, not just path, but a modern fast track. So the people who think that they know better than their heavenly engineer, they say, let's take some ancient tricks to improve our normal modern experience. So they take few tricks for exciting the energy, exciting their body, but they do not practice control of the seeds. And then because of the excessive excitement, there is excessive flow of seeds outside the body, too much energy is lost, intelligence decreases, and then they believe the penguin who tells them, you should not worry about this regular addiction. As long as your count is healthy, the penguin says, go on, the more the better. Failing to mention that men with normal count are almost extinct because of all the chemicals the lizards spray on us and put in our food. The other thing is that God had something in mind when he made it like that for people to play in couples. Also exchange of juices and all kinds of energy, very subtle things, the technicalities of which we don't understand. All these exchanges magically work when yin and yang are both there. But when one plays too much solo, especially with letting the seeds out, and especially for men, then distortions occur. One's ojas, or life force resistance, immunity they call it in modern terms, is reduced, intelligence is reduced. And then everything goes downhill exactly in the manner as it happens to these devices, the modern things with rechargeable batteries. When the battery goes bad, and by the way, when do the batteries go bad? When they are left too much on charging, exactly like working with energy without properly following the instructions. So then the battery works but not so well. You plug it in, immediately it says as if it is charging very fast, but then when you try to use the device, it discharges in no time, and at the end the gadget is useless. Excessive solo shooting will drain out your very being out of life force. That's why they subtly advertise it all the time on TV and with direct assurances, because a weak prey is an easy prey for the parasites. And by the way, the analogy with the rechargeable battery of the gadget, which got damaged due to being left too long on the charger, is a very good one. Because even imagine a simple electric system like a battery connected to a lamp, a torch basically. Even that the penguins cannot fully explain. They know how to use electricity, but its very nature is officially not yet fully understood. But when they encourage the people to damage their bodies with excessive do it yourself play, then they sound very scientific, as if they fully understand how the human body functions, although they can't figure out how a simple torch actually functions. And how often is too often? That's of course very personal, it depends on the type of body one has got, but surely for all people who want to make spiritual progress, daily shooting is a little bit too much. It will drain too much of their energy, very little will be left to feed the intelligence. But that is for healthy, strong men. If one is weak or sick, then even 2 times a week could be too much, or even once a week. It all depends on the situation. Yet another different way to reach hell while you're thinking that you're just playing. Problem is that too many people use online porn to start the fire. But since by far most of the online porn is twisted, hellish, tamasic, ugly stuff, that will start the fire but also create kundalini blockages. So at the end, even if you manage to point the seeds upwards, they will start beating against the blockages and create chaos in the body. And even if one watches clips which are not ugly in themselves, not tamasic, still, as far as I understand this online porn industry, they invent new and new ways to show ads when you don't want them, and you will be seeing ads, and 99% of the ads will be hellish sex, and that means again blockages. Let's say hypothetically one finds a way around the nasty ads, still one will need to watch the computer. That by itself is very dangerous always, but in particular when the most important internal energy, the bridge to the soul, is excited inside, because then it's like your very psyche, your very being is very much open to new things, and the demons use it to insert their demonic patterns, and they have more success when you are in this open state. So they will plant their patterns with the use of technology on subconscious level, in the psyche, on cellular level, on energetic level. This type of patterns they use, and they're invisible for most people. And after that, they will manifest as qualities, ideas, intentions, taste for things. So in this situation, even if one does everything else properly and the seeds are directed upwards, it will be the blockages created by these hellish patterns which will hamper and slow and maybe even divert the flow of Kundalini upwards. So here, a viewer is asking, how do you decide which technologies can and can't be used, he says, in his view. As long as it doesn't have the LCD screen, there won't be means of transmitting harmful frequency directly into the eyes. Yes, upon eye contact, they can very easily insert their demonic patterns into our being. I'm saying that from experience because since probably 1-2 months my sensitivity to computers increased. That's why recently there was a period when I did not make any video for 2 months in a row. It's because I could not be near the computer for long enough time. Now I found a way to use it even from further, like from 2 meters distance. It's a bit tricky, but that's how I can do it. And every possible second, that's how I trained myself, in which I simply look through the window and not to the screen. For example, I hit the record button and then I look through the window while it records for 1 or 2 minutes. Otherwise, yes, literally, I feel in the most tangible way this kind of line of pain which goes into my eyes and then into my forehead, definitely. And as far as other harmful frequencies transmitted by devices, there is so much written on that. Probably 5G is the most famous. I don't know if it is the most harmful. I personally see no point in inquiring into their scientific names because I see their effect directly. It is not as sharp as when it occurs on eye contact, but its cumulative effect is dreadful. You can find loads of information on how people have been harmed by all kinds of frequencies, not involving eye contact. And if they don't have it yet in the smartwatch, in the washing machine, in the simple MP3 player, how do you know that the devils are not now casually inserting that type of add-on as a security tracking feature or anti-theft device or some special add-on which is actually built in for the purpose of improving all the batteries, because all these devices run on batteries, but actually it is doing something else. There is no sure way to figure out which device exactly is harmful and to what extent. I myself prepare for the time when there will be no computer. I print the more important things on paper. That seems to be more beneficial to me in long run. Now the fun tantra, that is usually for couples, for families. The techniques in this video are for people who already have this type of activities going on in their lives in one form or another, and it is not meant to entangle you in sinful activities like going around and sniffing for casual sex partners. Please see the video on the Judgment Day if you consider something like that. And on the top of the sin factors, they may even infect you with hellish figs. So what about the aphrodisiacs? If they excite the ecstatic energy, and this fun energy can be used even for spiritual upliftment, does it mean that we can become more spiritual if we practice the fun tantra and fuel up with these special plants on the top of it? Actually, in some cases it may work like that. But not everything that modern people call aphrodisiac will do this job, because some of the things sold with that label, what they actually do, they deprive other parts of our being from energy just to redirect it into the production of seeds, or in women that would be fertile soil. When I say seeds, understand that it refers to both men and women. So some of the aphrodisiacs might be useful for fun on the spot, on the moment, while they would create disbalance in long term. However, if one uses sacred plants, there will be no such disbalance, because they will draw the energy from the primeval source instead of simply redirecting it, stealing it from other parts of the body, which may need it actually more than the seed production department. And second, what they do, that's why they're called magical, is they have the ability to clear Kundalini blockages, which is very difficult to accomplish actually. Both Aya and Iboga, which I have discussed extensively in previous videos, also how to cook it, where to get it, everything is there. And both of them, if they are taken properly and regularly over periods of time, let's say months, one's body will become a really superior instrument for the type of fun we are discussing today. Absolutely guaranteed, based on countless testimonies, maca is also good. Another sacred plant, which probably is too much under the radar, is the rose. What you need is pure rose oil. At least in the area under discussion, the rose oil can almost rival Aya and Iboga. The dosage is 1 or 2 drops, 2 or 3 times a day. The difficult thing is to actually get pure rose oil. Here on this website they may still have some, and it's a good one from a proper traditional distillery, hundreds of years old. You can contact them. They give wholesale prices for even 5 packages. And then the price used to drop down to 7 to 8 euro for 1 gram, which is 17 drops. For this type of substance, this is actually very, very cheap. By the way, that is not sponsored advertising of this website. I get no commission. The rose oil is not just yet another essential oil. It's not ordinary level herb. It is a superior magic plant, as they have this modern keyword, teacher master plant. A ordinary herb will work on a given organ or system of the body, but when a plant has access even to Kundalini, that is a completely different level, a completely different thing. And the modern people have coined even a new term, calling it master plant. And as they learn, they will return to the old proper term, which is magic plant. But it doesn't sound scientific enough for them yet, although they actually live in a world which runs on pure magic. Now, some people ask, how can a frivolous play lead to spiritual enlightenment if there is the danger that one will become even more attached to the material forms and experiences by concentrating on their most pleasant form? And the answer is that this type of path is recommended for people who are anyway interested in these activities, who anyway have them in their lives. These activities would be going on even before one hears about the intimate tantra. That's the situation at the beginner level. Now, at the advanced level, when one is already enjoying the fruits of the tantric achievement, then one is in constant bliss anyway, and one is wise enough to be detached from all material forms. And such detachment is easy because he does not imagine that he depends on them for happiness. He is tapped into the big source of happiness, so he is no longer in danger of becoming a slave of the external material forms. So this is really educational video. I think these are things everybody should know, no matter how one works with Kundalini, by doing it the fun tantric way or just by having fun with one's wife or husband. That is also good. That is not bad as long as there are no tamasic elements in the way one does it. So celibacy is usually a very important element in many mystic schools from all continents. And it actually works on the same principles. The seeds with the magical energy concentrate, they are kept in the body, they are not let out, and with time the bodily functions change because this tantric path is kind of already built in naturally in the human body. When the magic concentrate does not find a way out, it goes up and then it accumulates in the third eye area and in the crown chakra, and then everything starts happening. So people have different bodies and they are into such things, some of them very often, some of them rarely. So, the way it is recommended in Tantra is that those who are particularly active, let's say, they're into such stuff daily or almost daily, for them it is highly recommended to at least add some tantric element to the entire thing so that they don't shoot out the precious stuff every day. No matter if it is done with or without a partner, it will take its toll over time and they won't be able to use the full thinking capacity of their body. So, mixing tantric and non-tantric experience is also fine. One cannot hope in that situation to get those amazing magical results, but still, it's much better to do it that way, mixed, for those who are relatively very active in this field. Now, those who are averagely or not very active, for them, both the tantric and the standard paths are okay. Now, love in general, in much broader sense, the intimacy is just a part of that. That is the most beautiful thing and the most precious thing one can have in this life. But it is reserved for the sattvic people only. For example, the tamasic, what they call love, is usually some obsession or just a pale fascination. And so mesmerized by the TV set, most people live in amazing poverty without love. And this is how the penguins have set the trap for that. When the topic of love comes up in a conversation or in one's thoughts, immediately the pre-programmed people, they go into thinking of, oh, now the childhood trauma because of this and that, and they get stuck forever in unnecessarily dissecting all the details of the childhood traumas. And that is as effective as selecting one dot on the wall and concentrating exclusively on it, not even noticing that there is house and entire world around you. And if you try to talk to such people, they will, but this dot is really there, this is the truth, it is truly there. Yes, the dot is truly there, and that is not the trick that the dot is unreal. And the trick is that you don't notice everything else. Actually, one gets born into, let's say, a problematic family because one needs to work on love in his life. Everything is upside down in this penguinian, Darwinian, Freudian paradigm. They convince the people that it is because of the situation the person has become what he is, while it's the opposite. The situation is just the external byproduct of what the person actually is. But the trick of the endless trauma investigations works very well and distracts most people from doing the right thing for fixing the problem with love in their lives, which is becoming more sattvic. Only then one will have more karmic options than currently. Who will be one's life partner is usually decided even before birth, yet other people have wider options on the go.